In this video, which is part 2 of a 2-part video on the 6 mistakes I see property investors making, I'm going to cover 3 key things with you. The first one is financial planning, the second one is having key experts, and the third one is training. Watch the video so you avoid these mistakes. This is part 2 of a 2-part video on the 6 top mistakes I see people making. Initially I promised you 5 and I gave you 3 in video 1. If you haven't seen video 1, click this link above and you can watch that video. Then watch this video where I'm going to share 3 additional mistakes, and I am confident once you've seen both videos it's going to help you avoid a number of mistakes. And of course, share your comments in terms of other mistakes you've seen people make or you've made, and more importantly, what you learned from them. So, number 4 is not having a property plan. Now, a lot of people work in business and don't work to a particular plan, and having a plan is extremely important. And I would say, do yourself a favor, don't try and wing it, because most people who wing it get things wrong. Whereas if you have a plan, you have a roadmap, you know exactly what you're doing, you've got some direction. Now, nothing ever goes according to plan, and no business plan ever fails. But a plan gives you direction, it gives you clarity. You know exactly what you're going to do to some extent, and it gives you certainty. And that's extremely important in any business, especially property. Now, knowing your financial goals and what risks there are, and what risks you're willing to take, and what you need to do, and where the gaps are, is going to be in a good way for you to start. Now, if everything hits the fan and you lose your income, how many months can you cover your costs? Most people don't know. Some will say 2 months, some will say 3 months, some will say 6 months. So having an understanding of that and having a pot for a rainy day is extremely important. I'd say have at least 6 months. That's a good starting point. Some people struggle with that, but I would say 6 months is a good target to work towards. Now, I've got other videos on this channel where we talk about funding options in greater detail. If you haven't seen those videos, have a look at them. But I would say is most investors are usually quite leveraged. Therefore, they need to make sure that they've got the right returns and that they are protected, because looking at the upside is good, but looking at the downside is as important, and then obviously covering up the downside is just as important. Now, if you sign up, let's say, to a fixed mortgage deal, good in a way, but you might be paying a higher rate of interest, so you need to make sure you can cover those interest costs. But usually I go for fixed rate mortgages. It gives me certainty and I'm happier doing that. Now, as an investor, you will also need to consider the structure you have for buying your properties. Is it a limited company, LLP, a hybrid or a mixed partnership, sole trader, an ordinary partnership? Be clear on those as well, because that's obviously going to be part of your plan. When you're looking at all your costs, make sure obviously the rent covers those costs. Make sure there's some profit margin for you. If you need to employ people, obviously have a look at that. If you're looking for variable rates, stress test if the rates go up, what impact that has, and where it really starts becoming very difficult, because you can kind of anticipate where interest rates may be, but if you and I try and guess, we'll never get there. I know interest rates have historically been low, but we've seen an increase now. I think going forward they will increase even further. Then have a look at your occupancy rates. So if you've got voids, what happens if you've got 10% voids, 20% voids, 30% voids? How is that going to affect your business? What effect is that going to have on you personally? Can you survive? Can you cope? If you employ people, what impact is that going to have on them? So those things are extremely clear or extremely important. So you need to be clear on those. Then obviously look at your 5, 10, 15, 20 year plan. Now, I know most people can't look beyond 3 to 5 years because they find it difficult to kind of plan, but have something in place at least anyway, so you've got some direction. And alongside that, look at your property strategy, where's your 70% of your effort going into which strategy, then the 20%, and then the 10%. If you haven't seen that before or come across it, I've got a video on that. Look at your cash flow and see how you're going to manage that, because most businesses that fail, whether it's property or otherwise, fail because they don't have enough cash or they run out of cash. So that's extremely important. Then obviously look at the overall leverage. Are you going to refinance more? Are you happy with the 75% loan to value? Would I rather have it at 60%, at 50%? What impact that has on you? How does that make you feel? And it's all a choice, and you've got to make that choice. I can't make that choice for you. Most people don't think about these things, and I think it's a big mistake to not plan for these things and think everything's going to be fine. House prices are going to go up and you're going to be absolutely fine. You're not going to have any voids. The reality is that's not how any business works, and that definitely isn't how property works. And there are lots of costs associated with property, including repairs and maintenance, insurance costs, other costs which are outside your control. So you need to be aware of those and you need to plan accordingly. So you need to plan for those additional costs, and these costs, and I'll give you a few examples, could be legal costs and paperwork and fees involved with managing your properties, managing tenants. When you sell, for example, all those costs that are involved in selling a property, inspection costs, marketing to tenants, maintenance and repairs, taxes, which is obviously an important one, because if you're making profit, you'll have to pay tax. If you're paying council tax, selective licensing fees or any other fees to a local authority, insurances, mortgage costs, repayment, interest only, thinking about those, and all of the safety maintenance costs that you need to be aware of. So make sure that you understand how much you're spending on a monthly basis, and then obviously look at how much income's coming in, and then make sure that there's some profit there for you. Sounds obvious. A lot of people don't go through this process because most people aren't that comfortable with numbers and don't actually have the confidence to do it. If you don't, speak to an accountant or a friend who's financially numerate. They can assist you with this, and that's extremely important. And also factor in other costs which may crop up. It could be repairs and maintenance, or tenants leaving the property in a bad condition, or additional work that needs doing. So have some kind of a slush fund for those things. If it never happens, good, your slush fund gets bigger and you can work around that. But having a slush fund is going to get you out of trouble if there are unknown costs which appear at some point in the future, and that's extremely important. Now, in reality, obviously buying investment property, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight. It's going to take time. Everything does. You might not want to become a millionaire, by the way, but being sensible and prudent is extremely important. Now, mistakes can be avoided if you educate yourself, you create a plan, you do your research, you're methodical, you stick to your criteria, then you're going to be okay. It's when we start becoming irrational or too emotional, or we get excited and we don't think things through, that's where most people make lots of mistakes. And importantly, when you set targets for yourself, stick to those targets, stick to your principles, stick to your values, stick to your criteria. That's important. Those generally who do and don't chase the next shiny object and don't fully believe that everything that glitters isn't gold, usually are the ones who do better in the long term. Those who can't make their mind up and flit around from one thing to the next usually end up not doing so well. I'm sure you've heard anybody who tries to catch two rabbits ends up catching none. So therefore, what that really means is stick to your and focus on your key targets and know exactly where you're looking to go. That's extremely important. And importantly, of course, live within your means. Most people don't. So people end up buying cars, fancy holidays, thinking more money's coming in the future, and they're not disciplined. And most people want nice things in life, and that's absolutely fine. But live within your means, and you'll be better off in the long run. If you're going to be reckless, and that's probably a harsh word to use, by the way, but if you're going to be reckless with your finances, it is going to come back and bite you. And I'm not saying be frugal and be stingy. What I am saying is be sensible and cautious and live within your means, because that's extremely important. Number 5 is not having the right experts on board or cutting out the experts to save costs. Now everyone's different, but I can assure you that asking experts for advice is usually a good investment and a very good idea. They're experts for a reason. They know their field, they understand their field, and they're going to help you with your best interests at heart. Now, if you're planning to self-manage your property investments, and it's something you might want to reconsider, I'd say, because work with people who are good at doing those kind of things, and you focus on what you're good at, because we can't be good at every single thing. Now, you might be thinking, what kind of experts do I need? So I'd say you need a specialist property tax accountant, a good building surveyor, a property manager, depending on the size of your portfolio, a good lettings agent, a good conveyancing and a solicitor and a lawyer, a good mortgage advisor and broker, good estate agents, depending on whether you're looking to buy or sell or do a bit of both, an architect, especially if you're looking at obviously planning and changes to a property, a planning consultant, an insurance broker or advisor who can assist you with things, a builder, and a handy person who can support you. So these are some of the key people that you need who are going to help you become successful in your property business. And if you don't have contacts of these, ask friends and family members and other property investors, and go into property groups on Facebook and find out about these people. But what I would say is, don't skip and try and save a few pounds here and there on these experts. The really good ones are worth their money and will help you save costs and will help you have a much better business in the long run, because they're trained, they're qualified, they'll have experience, they know what they're talking about, they do things within their field and sector day in, day out. And for you and I to learn exactly what they know will take us a lifetime, and we can't learn all the things that I've shared with all the different experts that you would need. So why wouldn't you use the experts, and why wouldn't you use a good one? Of course you would. If you're serious about it, then of course you want to use good ones. So get recommendations and referrals from people you know and work with the experts, because they've got hundreds of hours of experience, and they're going to share it all with you to make sure that you reduce the number of mistakes. Now, I can share with you many examples where I've used experts and they've helped me a lot, from using a good solicitor who knows about conveyancing, where they've avoided, or helped me avoid ransom strips, where they've made sure I've got a clean title, when they've made sure I've got a good legal agreement, especially option agreements and conditional contracts, which have been in my benefit. The same with planning consultants and architects, where they've helped me maximize the usage of the space I've got, especially when I'm looking to extend sideways or at the back, or going up a floor or two. I wouldn't have a clue how to do those things, but because I've been able to use the right experts, they've helped guide me through that. And it's been extremely important to have those experts, and I always pay them on time, and I suggest you always pay them on time. Don't negotiate on their fees, don't quibble, look at the bigger picture to get hold of good experts who communicate well, work with you well, look after your best interests, and know what they're talking about. Aren't that easy to find, by the way. So when you find one of them, make sure you look after them just like you would do one of your team members, and engage with them and work with them with a view to having a long-term relationship. That's extremely important. And number 6 is you don't know what you don't know. So you could go out there and try and do things on your own. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to miss lots of opportunities. So I would say invest some money in training. Now, training and self-investment, self-development pays the best return. I can tell you that from experience. I can tell you that from experiences of my clients and other people who I speak to. So depending on which property strategy you're interested in, go out there, look at all the different courses available, go on webinars, go on seminars, attend coaching groups, be part of mastermind groups, read books, journals, magazines, and basically engross yourself in as much information as you can to learn about that particular strategy. Now, training courses are a fantastic way of getting started. You'll meet people there who are at the start of their journey. You'll also meet some people who are experienced, and you're thinking, what are they doing here? They've been doing this for the last 10-15 years. Well, if they're there to improve their knowledge, there's a good reason you and I should be doing the same thing. So I think self-development, lifelong learning is extremely important. So if you've got the funds available, make sure that you get some training. If you haven't, then try and save those funds and get the training, because it's going to shorten your learning journey, You're going to learn things quicker. You'll get more confidence. You'll be around people who've done things you haven't done, so they'll give you the confidence to do more. They'll also help you avoid mistakes. I think training isn't something we do once a year or once every 5 years. It's something you should do regularly. So when you're doing your business plan or your financial plan, make sure you put something in there for training costs, whether it's one-to-one training or personal coaching or a mastermind group or attending seminars and webinars. You do whatever you think is best for you, and everybody learns best in a different way. And it could be just YouTube videos, by the way. They're fine too as a good starting point. And there's plenty of fantastic experts out there who've got really good YouTube channels and who'll share their experience with you and advice with you for free. So get trained up so that you improve your craft, and you'll learn more and you'll be able to do things better. So that's my 3 mistakes in this video, 3 in the other one. If you haven't seen the other one, click this link, see that. And these 6 will help you avoid the mistakes, become successful in property, and I wish you all the best.